am a fellow of the Institute. I joined the COT in December 2022. So I'm not completely new, but I'm not a veteran like many other people either. I don't have a job anymore. I retired, but I sit on another two boards as well, one related to transport safety and the other one related to bus passengers' rights. My passion in transport is public transport, rail and bus. That's where I like to spend my time. My role on the COT, I've already informed you, I am the honorary secretary. That means I'm in charge of our governance and all the other legal aspects to what we do, excepting anything to do with the legal duties to do with our finance, which another trustee will tell you about later, because those are in his remit. But if it's not finance and it's governance and it's legal, then it tends to come to me. My aspirations for CILT International for the next year, I'm really keen on the transparency agenda, but not for its own sake. I'm keen on it because I want us to come together. As you can see, I'm old enough to have worked before IT, and I really want to make sure that we make the most of the opportunities that IT offers an institute like ours, that we can collaborate with people in absolutely 12 hours away from ourselves in time zones without too much trouble. We should be doing more of that. And finally, a small thing about me as a person, which has nothing to do with work. We're each going to share one of these. And mine is that my hobby is to grow cacti, so cactus plants. So if you're in a part of the world like Namibia or South Africa or Mexico or the United States where cacti grow, one day maybe you'll meet me because I'll be there looking at your plants. So that's me. Chief, can I invite you to do your introduction, please?
Thank you very much, Janie, for such a brilliant introduction in respect of what this webinar is meant for, what this webinar is meant to do, and the future outcomes. And also a presentation of how we have to know you. Truth be told, I didn't know much about you until today. So good to know you more, Janie. Good day, ladies and gentlemen and colleagues. I'm sure I need no introduction. However, protocol demands I should introduce myself. I'm Chief Titi Usunote, a fellow of the Institute and the president of CILT International. And I've been with the Institute for over 3 decades, and I'm still counting, and thanks for your support. I'm an African and a proud Ghanaian. I'm self-employed and CEO of an integrated marketing communications company and a renowned removal company in Ghana with global affiliations. I chair or preside over the Council of Trustees of CILT International, which is the highest decision-making body of the Institute, and also the legal custodian of our Royal Charter. Upon assumption of office as your international president, I purpose to focus on 3 thematic areas to be my legacy, which are firstly, repositioning our brand value proposition to be the most sought after profession in our industry space, and also be visible in various countries, as well as using all our communication tools, including social media, to achieve these objectives. I mean, no wonder we'll be able to achieve over 30 followers on LinkedIn a few days ago, which for me is a great achievement. That shows how visible we are and how loud we've become in recent times. My second point is to retool WILAT to achieve its set objectives. And thirdly, and finally, my last objective as your president is to redefine our next generation. That's one of our special interest group to be more relevant. I'm sure those of you active on social media will attest the work Sharon, our Secretary General, and I have been doing in the past few weeks. This is just the beginning, and we are going to visit your various countries very soon to reboot the CILT brand again, as we can feel your energy, but need the spark from us. We at COT, my colleagues here, feel your heartbeat, and we will do just that. I'm using this platform to thank the various countries that hosted myself, Sharon, and Ruth when we had to put boots on the ground in Africa. We enjoyed the hospitality and the sacrifices you all made during our working visit. God bless you all. I'm sure if not all, most of you know me well. I'm a man of many unpredictable paths. I believe in work hard and play hard. Now, a quote from John Maxwell said, "A leader is one that knows the way, goes the way, and shows the way." CILT Global Community, thanks for having me and accepting me to be your international president. You all know where to find me and can follow me on LinkedIn as well. Stay well. Long live CILT. Long live all of us. God bless you. Thank you, Jenny.
Thank you very much, Chief, and congratulations on matching your glasses to your shirt today. This is an excellent fashion look that the rest of us can only admire. So you've already won the fashion game.
Thank you very much, Jenny.
You reflect so well on us on the COT. Thank you so much, Chief. Okay, now in no particular order, just the order I see you on my screen here, fellow COT members. So I will go to Vicky next because Vicky is next on my screen.
Thank you, Jeannie. What a coincidence. On my screen, you're next to me too. Good day to everyone who's joining this webinar. Very glad to have you here today. My name is Vicky Koo. I am the Global WILAT Chairperson, and I'm located in Hong Kong. Also a council member in Hong Kong, and I'm glad to be invited to join Council of Trustees as advisor. It's an eye-opening experience, and I hope the rest of you will look for this opportunity in your near future with the journey in CILT. I am a fellow of CILT, and I want to share with you my background a little bit. I have been working in logistics and supply chain for more than 30 years and has been the head for supply chain for some multinational companies, including Levi's, Occidental Chemical, Avery Dennison, all the very niche and interesting companies who also have very heavy R&D. And after working for them, I have helped some of the other companies on a project basis to revamp their process. And now I'm running our own company to invent track and trace devices. So it's a bit of technologies, but also converging into operation technologies, including IoT. It's very fun for anyone who has not come on board with the digitalization journey. Please consider to do so, because you will find another part of the interest available in the supply chain and logistics discipline. And wish from me on CILT, I guess everybody knows CILT has been the very well-respected think tank for logistics and transport and supply chain industry for more than a century. But the recent globalizations in the past 20 plus years has breaking down borders and requires all of us to have a more international mindset. So adopting to other people's culture, knowledge, and experience is a very important way of success. So I'm hoping CILT is also aligned to this trend. And as the global chair for WILAT, I wish we can also convince enterprises to raise the priority of diversity and inclusion agenda and also incorporate ESG as part of their company cultures. So we have a few programs going on with our key WILAT members and try to create an impact for those companies who want to make the change and have the resources to change. So this is what we wish to do on the CILT platform and the WILAT platform. And I hope with all of your support, we will be successful very soon. Thank you, Jeannie.
Vicky, what would you like to tell us about you personally? Something that's nothing to do with CILT.
It's very difficult, in fact. But every Saturday morning, I would do my tennis sessions with my husband. So this is the minimum sports that I would do to fresh up myself and get ready for the week to come. So tennis is my favorite. Thank you, Jeannie.
Thank you, Vicky. That sounds excellent. Okay, next on my screen is Jan. Over to you, Jan.
Thanks, Jenny. Yeah, I'm sort of Jan Steenberg, president-elect. I've been a member of the Institute for 28 years now, since 1996, and I've been a fellow since 2001. So I've been connected with CILT in the last sort of almost 30 years of my career in supply chain management and logistics and transport. I worked in industry in various different companies, pharmaceutical, steel making, distribution, etc. So I've tried a bit of everything, and roughly 10 years ago, I decided that I wanted to get away from industry and try something new. So I joined Tata Consultancy Services in the supply chain practice based in the UK. And I've sort of since been heading up our practice in Europe, UK, and Asia Pacific as well. I'm currently based in Singapore and have been here for 4 years, but will be returning back to the UK shortly within the next few months. And both my wife and I are sort of looking forward to that. One of the key reasons for why that's a good idea, of course, is that if I am to follow Chief Titi's sort of act in a year and a half's time, I need to be close to where the Institute is based, which is, of course, the UK. It makes it a little bit easier in lots of ways, that's for sure. Certainly being sort of 7 time zones away, which I currently am, makes it a bit of a challenge. What can I tell you about myself that you probably don't know? Has nothing to do with CILT. Well, I've got 3 wonderful grown-up children, all based in Europe, so I don't get to see them that often in person. I do see them on FaceTime. But my wife and I have 2 lovely, mostly well-behaved Cocker Spaniels, keeping us company here in Singapore. And we actually got those Cocker Spaniels when the youngest one moved out. And our children collectively told us all not wanting to buy them a dog when they were growing up, and then immediately buy dogs when they left. And we had to tell them that the reason for that, of course, was to do with lifestyle and many other things. The fact that we then, a few years later, took both dogs with us here to Singapore, and we will bring them back as well, have been used against us, if I can put it that way. But anyway, that's a bit about me. What I would like to see for the Institute going forward, of course, is that we continue our journey of growth. We expand our offerings. We bring our education offerings particularly up to date and up to speed, and that's obviously being worked on. And that we can continue to build our community as an organization. I think that's very important, and I think we are on the right track. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jan. Next up, from where I'm looking, is Paul. Please, Paul, the floor is yours.
Okay, hi. Hello, everybody, and I am Paul MacDonald. I'm your honorary treasurer. I've been in situ since June of this year. I'm a CILT based in the UK. I live near Bath. I'm originally from Scotland, and my career is mainly in the finance space, hence honorary treasurer, and also chair of the International Audit Committee that Jenny mentioned earlier on. Started my career in Procter & Gamble in their commercial finance area, where I qualified as an accountant. As I used to say, a Scottish accountant is something to behold as they go around the world. From there, through the dairy industry, and then I joined Wincanton Logistics as was back in 2000. Client-facing CFO, negotiating logistics contracts, open and close book, you name it, we were kind of doing it. We also listed our business at that point. It's also where I first came across the Institute of Logistics and Transport, or CILT, that became around about 2006. And the MD I used to work with is a past president of the CILT. I then went from Wincanton Logistics to DHL, or Deutsche Post DHL, who had then acquired XL Logistics. And from there, I kind of started to travel the world, really. I've worked and lived in Germany. I've been around. We've been fortunate enough to be able to visit many, many countries and meet many different peoples and cultures, and many different ways of getting to the same thing, really, as I've gone on. As I've tried to do that from a finance point of view, the theme has really been about engagement, consultation, and to provide insight to allow people to navigate their organisations, and also allow people to make reasoned decisions on the prioritisation of resources. Educationally, I've been a trustee in special needs charities, and also high schools and academy trusts, as they call them in the UK. So I've had a long-term interest in education and how education provides a route to growth of an individual and of a community, I would suggest. So that's how I ended up in CILT. As I said, I joined in June. In terms of aspirations, I think I would echo some of the comments. I mean, my endearing, I have three memories from the convention in Langfang. One was the breadth of knowledge, expertise, and cultures that we met. Another was a definite passion for whiskey that seemed to be there one evening. I think Chief used the phrase "to play hard," but also just the camaraderie and the family feel to the whole place. And I think as part of the role in finance, or that area, one can help keep the wheels moving, and providing that insight and providing that engagement can help continue to enable the strategic objectives as outlined by Chief. Something personal about me, I really do own a kilt. It is a McDonald tartan. We really do carry knives in our socks, but not on airplanes these days. I do like haggis, and I do like the poetry of Robert Burns, who's kind of Scots national poet around the world. And pretty much everybody in the world has heard of a Rabbie Burns song, because a lot of the world sing it at New Year's Eve, Auld Lang Syne, for old time's sake. I also fitted quite nicely into the whiskey tasting at one of the things, but it's I've broadened out over the years, not just Scotch whiskey, but also lots of others. Quite happy to try other takes. Married, 3 grown-up kids, and also have a Cocker Spaniel dog. That's me. Thanks, Jenny.
Thank you very much, Paul. Your comments about the reality of being Scottish versus the stereotypical questions that people ask. It reminds me seamlessly of, you often hear Muslims who live here in the UK during Ramadan. They don't even wait for us non-Muslims to ask. They just go, yes, not even water. And it's probably a bit like that with a kilt. Same question over and over again. So next on my screen is Elizabeth. Elizabeth, please tell us a bit about yourself.
Hello. Well, I think I should, after Ian's, Paul's revelation then, I should admit that I can actually quote quite a lot of Burns, along with some other poets. That's one of my enthusiasms. So I'm Elizabeth Gilliard. I'm the newest member of the COT, and I've only been around really a few weeks, so I'm still learning the ropes and learning the functionality. I was very delighted to be invited to join, and I look forward to supporting Chief and Jan during their presidencies. I've been a CILT member since the 80s and a fellow since the 90s. I was on the board as the young professional when I was a student in the 1980s. So the CILT is very much a part of my professional development, and really was my route to the boardroom, from a blue-collar worker on the railway up to running one of what we call here local transport authority. And my transport interests are quite wide. but other people tend to see them as being public transport. But I also include a lot of streets and walking and placemaking, because for me, the function of great transport is to help great lives. So I hope that we can all improve the economics and social access and opportunity for all the people in our countries by our professionalism. And I suppose the other thing that Jenny will want me to say is something about myself. I'm a terrible cricketer, but I do it a lot. So I've played 4 games in the last week, and I'm absolutely abysmal, but I relish it. Thank you.
Well, that's great. I mean, our favourite hobbies are often ones which we're pretty rubbish at, and that's what makes it fun. Okay, now I don't think I missed any of the trustees and advisors. We had Ian Jones, but we don't seem to have him anymore.
I'm here. I am here.
Aha. Okay, I won't even begin to wonder how that happened, but please, Ian, introduce yourself.
My name is not Sharon Kinley-Sides. I've had some technical problems, so I've downloaded on my phone. So my name is not Sharon. There's not 2 of us. My name is Ian Jones. I am a lawyer, and I'm the honorary solicitor for the Institute. Solicitor being an English term for lawyer. To orientate those around the world, my family is from Liverpool in the northwest of England, a very outward-looking port. So we look out over the world as we assisted with the Industrial Revolution, which I'll come back to the Industrial Revolution if I may. I fell into transport law 31 years ago when a legend in the transport industry had faith in my legal ability before I had faith in my legal ability. And I started representing this transport company back in 1993. All of my clients now have tires that are over 3 feet tall. Essentially, all my clients deal with buses, coaches, lorries, everything connected with transport. I deal with issues when the wheel falls off. That's both metaphorically and literally. I'm very interested in transport, having fallen into it to the extent that I did a course in smart transport at Oxford University. So I'm fascinated by the future for transport. My firm is called Backhouse Jones, which can trace its route back to 1819. So my firm was representing companies during the industrial revolution that started in England. And I will tell you why I keep referencing the Industrial Revolution when I come to my aspiration. I am interested in decarbonisation, and that's my reason for referencing the Industrial Revolution. But just to give you an idea of my interest, I am a member of the Worshipful Company of Carmen, which is a livery company based in London that will look after hauliers and other transport operators in London and throughout Great Britain, and it can trace its roots back to the 1400s. So there's an awful lot of heritage there that I've discussed. And the reason why I'm telling you about the heritage is that perhaps the Industrial Revolution started in Lancashire, in England, primarily because we have a lot of coal and a lot of people connected together that allowed the Industrial Revolution to take place. So perhaps it's incumbent upon those who started the climate change in Lancashire for burning all this coal to start finding the solution. So I'm fascinated by decarbonisation, and I'm most interested in the use of hydrogen as an alternative fuel source for heavy vehicles. Electrification will be very important for domestic cars, but in terms of running a 44-ton truck from Edinburgh in Scotland down to London, it's going to be difficult to run it on a battery. And I think that hydrogen fuel in an internal combustion engine, might be very useful to avoid us boiling the seas and avoid us destroying the planet. So that's my interest for the CILT, is to float the idea of hydrogen and decarbonisation. In terms of a quote, referencing what Chief Titi said, my favorite quote is from the American writer Kurt Vonnegut, who said, "I urge you please to notice when you are happy and exclaim or murmur or think at some point, if this isn't nice, I don't know what is." And as I look around at the screen here and my friends and colleagues in CILT and across the globe, if this isn't nice, I don't know what is. That's me, Jenny.
Lovely. Thank you very much, Ian. That's great. And thank you so much to you and Sharon for somehow getting you into this meeting. I can't even imagine how, but you did it. So that's
Sharon, I'd just like to say Sharon's coolness under fire means we have exactly the right chief executive, because I couldn't get on for some reason on my laptop. So Sharon is definitely our leader, because she can remain cool under the most intensive pressures. That is me not being able to get on. Thank you, Sharon.
Thank you, Ian. And yeah, Sharon's sitting here looking absolutely cool as a cucumber. And you're next. You have a seat on the Council of Trustees by virtue of the fact that you are our CEO, but you are neither a trustee nor an advisor. You're there in your very own right. So having clarified that, hopefully, please introduce yourself.
Yeah, no, thanks, Jenny. And I'm glad you got on board, Ian. That was getting a bit interesting. I was running sort of 2 different devices at the same time trying to log him on. So as Jenny said, I'm Sharon Kindley Sides. I'm the Secretary General. So the CILT is my day job. So I'm here really looking after the team in the Secretariat who deal with membership, who deal with the education, the social media. We're hopefully the wheels in the background that just keep things running. And if you've seen our amazing website, new website, in fact, it's been refreshed, that's all down to Kaya. If you've had a membership certificate issued, that's Frankie and the panel, her membership panel. And then if it's to do with education, that'll be Zoe and Ruth. And then if you've had your bills paid, or even paid us some money, that's Rox. So we're a really close team. As you've noticed, we're all female. We're not yet going to set up a girl band, but it has been talked about, so watch this space. When I'm not doing the CILT, my technical background is intelligent transport systems, which I've been in for about 25 years. And my interests are particularly rural and how we make sure that systems that work in the cities also work in the rural areas, and also that people that don't have access to technology are able to get around in the same style and experience the same delightful problems that the rest of us have on public transport. Yeah, and I am a bit of a bus nerd, and people on this call may have seen me trying to get as close as possible to Route Masters on any available occasion. My aspirations are really that we build this international family, that everyone has a chance to interact with someone in a different branch, whether that's through social media, through volunteering for things. And we are going to be having an international journal, which I would like you all to contribute to. And we want this to be in your native language. We can do translations, but English isn't the only language we speak. So I'm really, really keen that going forward, we'll have social media in French, in Chinese, hopefully at some point Portuguese and Arabic languages. So my probably biggest aspiration is that we are completely international and there are no boundaries, and anybody who wants to access our information can. Something about me, yes, I like old transport. And as Ian mentioned, I'm also a carman. So that meant in July, I was wandering around Guildhall in London wearing high vis and a cocktail dress with a clipboard, organising the cart marking parade, which is when we have vehicles that are hundreds of years old, up to hours old almost, parading around London. And it is actually the original, probably, car tax, because they all get branded to show they've paid their 2 shillings. So generally, I love history and I love transport history. And I think that's probably me.
Thank you very much, Sharon. Okay, so now we get to the technically difficult bit. Everyone's been introduced. I will now attempt to let the people who are asking questions speak, and where it's relevant, I can see that some trustees have been very helpful and answered questions in writing. I'm not entirely sure whether sorry, I'm reading too many different things. I'm not entirely sure whether you can all see all the Q&A. I hope you can. Maybe someone can let me know in the chat. But I'm now going to attempt to unmute Richard Atkinson, because he's first on the list, allowed to talk. And then he can ask his question in person so we can hear some different voices. Richard, are you there?
Hello, Jenny, can you hear me?
Yes, brilliant. Please ask your question.
Thank you very much indeed. Greetings, Chief. A privilege to see you again. And hello, all COT members and fellows across the world. Could you just please confirm that CILT is a professional membership organisation? Are we really an organisation for members? And if so, technically, this is a question we're pondering in my committee in the UK, is are we all around the world members of the central organisation or just of our branches and territories? And we think we are subject to letters of delegation from your good selves, though I can't say I've ever seen it. Maybe I've missed it. Is it posted or published in the interest of transparency? So I guess that's 3 questions in one, but thank you very much for the opportunity, Jenny. Thank you.
Thank you. So who would like to have a go at answering that? Yeah, go for it, John.
Yeah, I'll be happy to give it a go. Hi, Richard. Long time no speak. Yes, we are an organization for the members. We are a not-for-profit charity, and that is how we're structured. The structure is, of course, that CILT International holds a royal charter, and that is then delegating or used to sort of delegate our powers, limited as they are, to all the branches and territories where there are independent CILT organizations. I don't know if we could post the delegation agreements. I don't necessarily see any problem with that, but that's probably a question for Ian or Jenny to answer. But I agree in terms of, in the name of transparency, we probably should, so it's visible to anybody and everybody what is actually delegated and how that contract works between CILT International and the individual countries. Are you automatically a member of CILT International? Well, that's an interesting question because CILT International doesn't have any members, at least not officially, if you like. So we don't do that. That's done by the countries themselves, and they structure and manage their membership themselves. The only thing we get involved with from a membership point of view is about membership standards. So in other words, what will it take for someone to be promoted from a member of the Institute to a chartered member, or from a chartered member to a fellow, and so on. So we do get involved in things like that, but not members directly. Did I answer all your questions?
While Richard, who I now can't find, so I hope he's still there. Oh yes, there I see him. I would add to that regarding the publication of the delegation agreements. My feeling is that no, they are absolutely not secret documents. There's nothing in there that I would have thought anyone would say comes under confidentiality. To me, that would be something that each branch would be proud to post on its own website if it's got one. Or maybe we should have them in the directory of branches on our website. But yes, I don't feel like there's any great amount of confidentiality attached to the delegation agreements. Richard,
can you still hear me?
Your questions?
Can you still hear me?
Yeah, absolutely.
Excellent. Thank you very much indeed, Jan, and great to see you again, and all best wishes to you all. Those were clear answers on all questions. Thanks very much. And looking forward to the notion of being connected globally with all colleagues and friends in the chat. I think that's a great ambition that Sharon outlined, that with modern technology, we must be able to do more of that. And thank you all very much indeed. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next, I'm going to invite Zulfikar Ali Indar to speak. And at the same time, can I say, Ruth Francis, I know you're there. I'm trying to promote you to panelist because we have some education questions. If you get a request from me saying, please become a panelist, please say yes. Okay.
I have, Jenny, I'm here.
Oh, there you are. Excellent. You've done it. There's just a delay. Right. I'm unmuting you, Zulfikar. Hopefully you will be able to speak to us.
Zulfikar, you're on mute.
Zulfikar, can you speak to us? I think I've successfully unmuted him, but he's not able to speak. Okay, I'll read out the question and then maybe he can sort out technical difficulties and join us. So the question is very straightforward. Please update on the status of CILT Pakistan. My hunch is that maybe Sharon's the best to answer, but if any of the other COP members have inside information on Pakistan, please speak up as well.
I think I'd like some more clarification. CILT Pakistan are, to our knowledge, that they're still a functioning branch. I don't know if there's a particular question here. I know there may have been some issues. I believe the previous president passed and was replaced with an interim. Is that what the question is about, or is there something else?
If you can hear us, Zulfikar, maybe you can add some context to your question so we can answer it. And while we wait for that, I'll move on to the next person, which is DHA Mua. See how that works? Allowed to talk. Are you able to speak to us, DHA Mua? Hello, GHH Mua. I've asked you to unmute. If you're able to, can you please speak to us? No. After the success with Richard, I seem to be going downhill with this. I'll read out the question. Yes, it's great that we now have Ruth on the panel because I think it's a bit of a Ruth question. So the question is, does CILT have a follow-up plan of professional development of its members, especially students enrolled on their courses, meaning CILT courses, I'm sure? Are there efforts with organizations in members' countries for industrial development of their members through their training centers? I know we are concerned about professionalism. So with Sharon's agreement, shall we get Ruth to start on that one? Yeah, go for it, Ruth.
Good morning, all. Lovely to meet you. If I'm understanding the question correctly, we're obviously talking about converting students and learners and ensuring that they've got a robust professional development plan once they've completed their more traditional sort of education and qualification with us. Our branches, it is a tricky one to try and homogenize around the world, because obviously every industry is different, all the skills gaps are very different. So that's where we really do work closely with our branches and territories, and they will actually look at the market in which they're operating, engage with industry stakeholders, with their learners, with their members, and talk about the framework that works best for them in terms of what they require going forward through every stage of their career. So we have obviously excellent examples of that around the world. I would encourage people to, those of you who might have come to the convention will have heard from CILT Australia, where Karen presented their CPD logbook. So some branches and territories have very robust and technologically advanced as well systems around this, but it's very much market driven, and where our branches need support with this, they're obviously very open to approaching us for that too. I hope that answers the question, and I hope I understood it correctly. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ruth. Again, because we're having these connection problems, can I ask DHA MUI, if you don't feel that this was the answer you were looking for, then please come back to us in the Q&A. I feel it was a good answer, but then I'm not the one who asked the question. Okay, so moving on. Okay, I think there's quite a general one. Nasreen Hark. Let me see if I can. I'm not giving up on this just yet. See if I can unmute Nasreen. No, this person I can't even find in the list of attendees. Now I'm beaten by that one, so I'll read the question out. There are governance issues as the Articles of Association on which the delegation agreement has delegated authority to the territory is not in line with CILT international requirements. There is a need to align the same. Okay. So if I try and work out this, one way of reading this question, I think, which aligns quite well with the current Council of Trustees thinking as well, is that how we would wish to operate now in September 2024 is sometimes hard to align with a royal charter which goes back to the 1920s, and the bylaws, which is what we go by, as opposed to Articles of Association, which, you know, yeah, the instruments do the same thing, which I do not believe have been revised since something like 2011. And this is something which we're very much aware of. We have to abide by the governance which is currently in force. That's not negotiable, whether we find it a good fit or a hard or a difficult fit. But the COT is absolutely committed to reviewing. That was agreed at the AGM in China in June this year. A resolution was passed to the effect that we must overhaul our governance and make sure that it while ensuring that we do everything correctly, also fits with the way we would wish to operate as a modern institute in 2024 and beyond. That's my answer to that question. Fellow trustees, I urge you to come in and add to what I just said if you wish.
No, good.
No, okay, everyone's happy with that. Let's see what else we have. Okay, we have Ali Yushehu. Let's see if that might work. Allowed to talk? Ali, are we able to hear from you? Ali, are you there?
Yeah. Good day.
Yes, excellent. Please ask your question.
Okay. So my question is regarding trainings and then employment opportunity for members, because like here in Nigeria, Next Generation, for the past 1 year, I think, or 2 years, we have been trying to see how we can increase our membership, and of now, I think we have more than 150 next generation members. But always our problem is that with our members is that they are always asking us on how are we going to help them get more employment opportunity, and how are we going to get them have more access to education in supply chain logistics and such. Because like, okay, in Nigeria here, I think there are very few institutions who offer this type of courses, and then even the skill hand experience on these things are very hard to get by. To get mentors all across the country is very difficult, except if you are probably, you know, down south in Lagos, Port Harcourt, where you have access to more experts like this. But if you are up north, let's say Kaduna, Kano, Katsina, down up north, it's very difficult to actually get things like this. So what is the international community trying to do for us here down here, if we are going to organize stuff like that, events like that, to participate in it, and also to have access to other next generation members all across the world? Because I think it will aid us, have more experience on what they are doing. How can we copy what they are doing to see if it's going to work for us down here? Thank you.
Thank you. So who would like to have a have a go at answering that, please? Support for Next Gen. Elizabeth, yes, please, go for it.
Thanks, Jenny. As I said earlier, I am the newest member, so people can put me right if I'm wrong about this. My understanding is that at CILT International, we look after the achievement of standards. We support the achievement of standards. We don't provide individual member services, but I like the suggestion in the question that we could share best practice. So, for example, in the UK, we used to have a thing called the Transport Tutorial Association, so that people in remote regions, and I appreciate that our idea of a remote region is probably laughable to some other people whose remote regions are truly remote. People in remote regions who don't have access to educational institutions could get learning remote by email and correspondence. And this actually went back to the 1940s, when the correspondence tuition was by post. And when I was a tutor on it, it was a little bit by post and a little bit by email. And of course, now it could be much more direct and personalized with the technology available to us. So if I understood the question properly, then these remote learning facilities could particularly help with the mentoring that the colleague mentioned. And I think sharing these good practice examples could be a very positive thing that we can do.
Thank you very much, Elizabeth. I'm wondering, Vicky, with your WILAT perspective, is it something that you feel that WILAT does well? And in that case, could there be a transfer of knowledge between WILAT and Next Generation? Or is this an issue which WILAT is also grappling with? Could you shed some light for us, please?
Thank you, Jeannie. In our efforts of promoting D&I, diversity and inclusion, we do encourage enterprises to employ more women in their management team, as well as in the front lines and supervisory grade. CILT is such a platform that naturally collects all the professional and talent young people as well on our platform. So being qualified as a CILT member itself give you an extra miles, to present yourself in front of your potential employers. So it's already a plus. And particularly in Hong Kong, the government's transport department also recognize CILT members as a criteria for promotion in their structure. So it helps a lot in the case of Hong Kong, but we do understand in many of the other countries, that's not the case. But we have to count on the local CILT branches to collaborate more with the government and also the key employers locally to make them understand the value of CILT and how what are the quality of the members that is behind the title of it. And then you increase your job success in job searching. So hopefully whoever is looking for a job, especially the young ones, you will grab a better chance. And by the way, if Jeannie may allow me to mention about our program of Star of WILAT.
Please go on.
Yeah, thank you. Every year we invite all of our WILAT chapters. We have 40 chapters around the world, and they go out to identify young women that they think has the very good potential, very capable, and is willing to contribute to CILT and the industry. Okay, and then the nominations will be submitted, and we go through a process to identify the one best or the most impactful star, and will be recognized by CILT International. And I would encourage more people to come attend and join the contest and show your power, your strength, and what you have learned, how you can benefit your employers, potential employers, and also your community. Because nowadays, employers does not just look at what you can do for them, but also for the communities. So it increase your popularity well in your filtering process or selection process in that way. So thanks, Jeannie. I hope it helps.
That's very helpful. Thank you, Vicky. Ian, I believe you wanted to come in.
Yes, I think that the member was talking about the sharing of knowledge. And so in this pursuit of knowledge within the transport industry, I think I can say this without looking to gain commercial advantage, because we don't have an office in Africa or anywhere outside of England, frankly. We cannot practice law outside of England. But my firm, Backhouse Jones, has a plethora, a whole encyclopedia on our website of training and best practice in the transport industry, whether it be webinars, whether it be presentations. Now, it is related to England, but in terms of best practice for transport, there may be inspiration for a member who wants to draw from some of the best practice that we've identified. I think I can say that without looking as if I'm pursuing business, because I'm not. I'm just trying to share the information, and if anybody wishes to access it, it is there for all to use and deploy. Thank you.
Thank you, Ian. I think I'm going to take the risk and say, please put the web address in the chat. And you're all 88 of you are witnesses to that. I did say that, so we can't attack Ian for seeking commercial advantage and getting his website into the chat. I've invited him to do it. Sharon, you wanted to add something?
Yeah, I was just going to double back about the next generation. We've been doing a lot of work in the background with the next generation team. And so hopefully really within the next month, there'll be a town hall session, a webinar for all our next generation colleagues to take part in. And we're going to be relaunching the operational guidelines. And then shortly, we have a number of colleagues who are coming to the end of their tenures on the next generation committee. So I would like people to start thinking, if they're in that age group, which is under 35, if you would like to be involved in Next Generation, do have a think about it. So when we come out and ask for nominations, you can put yourself forward or persuade your colleagues who you think might be suitable to come forward. And we're really looking forward, to this coming year being really, really proactive in Next Generation. Because having gone around Africa with Chief recently, the absolute passion both in the Willat and the Next Generation is unbelievable. So we're looking forward to really growing that. And like I said before, sharing the international connections, particularly in our young people. So let's hope we can, please share that as widely when it comes out on our LinkedIn and the emails.
Thank you very much, Sharon. Ali, are you happy with these various answers that you've been given? Okay, I'll take that as a yes, and the Q&A is open if it wasn't a yes. Okay, I'm going to give you all 5 minutes off now to do whatever you need to do. That will also give me a chance to organize the questions again, because I'm completely lost now with my attendees and my questions. But see you back here at at 6 minutes past the hour, at 06. See you then. Thank you. And thank you for taking part in the first half. Okay. Panelists, cameras on. Sharon, Sharon, you had your hand up, but I took it back down. Was it a legacy hand?
It was a legacy hand, yeah, back next, Jen.
Don't want to come over all Stalinist here and remove your hand if you was a genuine one. Okay, welcome back, attendees. I hope you weren't caught by your boss while you dashed off to do something, and I hope you're all back with us. So, moving on to the next question on my list here, and seeing if I can unmute the person. We have a question from Karen Welsh. So, Karen, I will find you and hopefully unmute you. No, Karen is not. Karen's, oh yeah, no, there she is. Allowed to talk. So, Karen, I'm hoping that you're now going to be able to ask us your question yourself.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah, good. Okay, that's good. I'm on an iPad, so it's hard to see what is and what is not working. Just regarding the strategy, it would, each year we put in an annual return and we also include a strategy, but me having a strategy background within a large corporate, we've always aligned to the corporate strategy down in the divisional level. And I would like to align the strategy that CILT Australia puts in, aligning to the overarching strategy as far as goals and things like that within the elements of CILT International. And so hence my question, is there an overarching strategy? Is it available for us to access? And is it possible to align to it where appropriate?
Well, thank you very much for your question, Karen. Now, my belief, and I'm very happy for everybody else on the panel to tell me that I'm wrong, is I don't believe there is a strategy document that covers the whole of the institute. So secretariat, COT, branches and all. So I'm going to pause here so that my colleagues can tell me that I'm wrong. Go on, colleagues.
You're wrong.
I'm wrong, good. Go on, tell us about it, John.
There is one, it's out of date and we need to update it and refresh it, which is what I believe we'll be doing as part of our December meeting. So Chief and I have sort of had various conversations around this, and obviously the wider COT needs to be involved in that conversation and that discussion. But we do actually have a strategy document that has been around for a couple of years now, and we can share that. That's nothing secret about it. But as I say, we are looking to review, revise, update, and make changes in December.
So
okay, and that will be circulated as well. Sorry.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Karen, are you happy with that answer?
Yeah, I look forward to receiving it.
Yeah, I don't mean happy as in the state of affairs. I mean happy as in that your question has been answered.
Yes, thank you.
Great, thank you. Okay, the next question is from Francis Bavaha from Cameroon. Let me see if I can find you and unmute you. No, I suppose some people have left. I can't find Francis. Okay, next up is Pius Patricius Okiror. Yes. Right, Pius, I'm allowing you to talk, so hopefully you'll be able to ask your question. Pius, you should be able to unmute yourself and speak. No, I don't think that's working, but since he's clearly here. I will read out the question. I think it's a Ruth one, I guess. Is it possible for CILT to start awarding degrees like the ACCA does? And no, I don't know what the ACCA is, but Ruth probably does.
ACCA is for chartered accountants, so they're a huge professional body around the world. So we have a number of accredited degrees. We're not technically an awarding organisation, so we would work through a validation agreement with other higher education institutions and universities around the world, and that's currently how we accredit their degrees. So what we do is we map those degrees against our key knowledge areas and look for at least 75% alignment of our core competencies, and then at least 75% of a specialist technical area as well. It's quite a very rigorous process, but that's how we then determine that a degree that is offered can be accredited by us and is therefore equivalent alongside the accompanying at least 2 years experience for chartered membership of the institute. In awarding a degree ourselves and actually writing one, I think it's probably best done by the markets themselves, and it fits in, and so we kind of do that outward approach of accrediting those that already exist rather than creating one for ourselves. But as we have mentioned, we are refreshing and updating and rigorously analysing the offering that we currently have. So certainly this will be a discussion point for us, but that's how we currently do things.
Lovely. Thank you, Ruth. Do any of the other COP members have anything to add to that? Yes, Ian, go for it.
I mean, perhaps I could connect Ruth with the Transport Services Unit at Oxford University. That's where I did my sort of a thesis essentially on smart transport. So they are specifically orientated towards transport, and it might be worth Ruth having a connection with them to see if there's some overlap. I don't know whether there is. I'm just saying I did the course, and it was well attended from people throughout the world. There was a global attendance on it, and it was very useful, very specific. And I'll connect Ruth with them to see if there's any overlap.
Thank you very much, Ian. Pius, you look as if you might be able to speak now. Are you satisfied with these answers?
Hello.
Hello.
Yes. Thank you very much.
Thank you, and thank you for your question.
Yes, Jenny, grateful for this good webinar. Yes, I had a bit of interruption on the answers about the award of these degrees, like the ACCA does. You know, we come through different backgrounds, and these backgrounds collect us from different areas of professions. Now we have professions like CIPS UK, and then we have degrees which are awarded locally in the field of logistics and say supply chain, procurement and supply chain management. And then we also go on to do some MBA, that's Masters of Business Administration, just to prepare ourselves for management aspects. And professionally, we belong to these professional bodies. Now, like I am a member, Chartered Institute of Procurement and Supply. But then the other bit is, as we progress, given the background of our studies and the profession, you know, I practice in the supply chain management field, including operations. But then you reach a level where your recognition should actually be with a certification in that particular field. And having courses like CILT become necessary, much as I have CILT, SIPS, and the DBA would be a good match. But then, if CILT could have those degrees as well, that will be also a plus.
Thank you. So quite a few options there. Thank you for your contribution, and also thank you to Ruth's just given. We'll move on to the next question, which is from Dina Corker. So I will attempt to unmute. Dina, you should now be able to speak. Dina, are you there? Dina? Yes, please.
Yes, I'm here.
So please ask your question.
Okay. My question was like, what specific training programs or workshops does CILT or WILAT offers for members like myself? I'm in the UK, but I'm a CILT a chartered member in Malawi, but I've come here in UK. So it's like I'm looking for a way to develop myself and know what our CILT, what our profession body is doing so that I can upgrade myself, as well as I should know what to do in the field.
Yeah, thank you, Dina. I came across something very similar to this recently, or at least I think similar. A lady who was a member in Nigeria, I believe, but who was currently working and living in Atlanta in the US. And how could she access CLT content in the US? So probably quite similar. And the answer I was given by our excellent secretariat to that issue was that it's possible to transfer your membership, so that while your membership is in a branch many thousands of miles where you are, you can actually get that membership transferred to the branch in the place where you actually find yourself, so that you can participate. But I will, because that's me repeating that secondhand, I will refer to Sharon and ask her to clarify. Did I get that roughly right?
Yeah, no, absolutely, Jenny. And yes, anyone can transfer their membership to the country they're based in. It's quite straightforward. And I would suggest, if you look on the CILT UK website and their LinkedIn pages, they've got a lot of events going on, lot of activities. They've got the Women in Logistics group, which is very active. And our nearest WILAT group is in Ireland, who are just setting up. So please just go on their website and have a look. And if you'd like to transfer your membership across, please just, it can even be temporarily if you're only here for a short while. Please get in touch with the branch directly. And if you need contact details, please let me know and I can forward the information.
Dina, does that answer your question?
Yes, I would definitely need the contact emails for that.
If you put your own email address in the chat, then we'll get back to you. And yeah, I highly recommend this. I am a CILT UK member, not a very active one because I'm very busy with international, but Sharon's absolutely right. They have a massive output of different webinars, conferences, events, workshops. And they also seem to have fun. They go golfing and they go horse racing and this sort of thing. So there's a lot there to choose from. So I would urge you to get in touch with them, and please put your email address in the chat. Okay, moving on. I think this is a question which, with the agreement of the rest of the panel, I will deal with. It's a question from Edward Lau, and it's requesting an update on the latest developments regarding Central Asia CLT. Yeah, basically about Central Asia CLT. And with this one, I would go back to what I said at the start. There are limits to transparency for reasons of law, for reasons of our internal governance, and for reasons of individual members' rights to privacy. And the Central Asia CLT issue is currently very much being addressed by the COT, talking to all interested parties, trying to find the best way forward. It's very, very sensitive to a number of people, and for that reason, I do not believe that it's a suitable topic of it for discussion in this webinar. But as I say, if any of my fellow trustees, we are a democracy, if any of my fellow trustees want to say that I'm wrong, they are very welcome to do so. No, I think that was that. It doesn't mean that in due course we will not be able to advise people, all the people who need to know about what's going on, but right now it would simply be inappropriate to do so. Okay, next I've got Masao Monga. I'm really sorry about the way I'm mangling all your names. Before I married an English guy, my surname was Skoog, so I do slightly sympathize. It's not nice having a name mangled by foreigners, but I can only do what I can do. So, Masao, I'm going to click allow you to talk, and now hopefully you can ask your question. Masao, can you unmute yourself? At this point, I'm not stopping you. Yes, there you go. Please ask your question.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
It's good. Hello. Are you able to get me?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Good afternoon once more. My question is, what opportunities are being created to bridge the gap in terms of job creation for CILT professionals across the globe? Because you may wish to know that in some countries there are very few opportunities for professionals to find jobs, but I hope that there, as an institute or as a motherboard, you'll be able to come up with strategies that will help, more especially the next generation, to find these working opportunities across the globe. What's your response on that?
Thank you very much for your question. Now, this is a question I think all of us would have something to say something to. But Chief, we haven't heard from you yet as a question responder. So can I ask you to have the first go at this one so we can hear your voice again? You're on mute.
Yes, Jenny, thanks for the invite. I'm under the weather. I'm having flu, so it's making it a little bit difficult to contribute so much. So please, if I can get someone else to contribute on my behalf, please.
Okay, sorry, I wasn't aware that you were having problems with your voice. So as I said, how can we help CILT members to access good employment opportunities all around the world? I'm sure that's something we all have something to say on. So please, anybody else? Go for it. Yeah, Jan?
I can certainly add my comments, that's for sure. I mean, given the fact that I run my daily job organizations across all of Europe, UK, and Asia Pacific as well. I think all in all about 40 different countries or something like that. There are obviously various ways that the CILT can assist and help. I think one of them is, of course, that taking one of our education offerings and get a diploma or certificate or whatever is internationally recognized. And we should not underestimate that fact. It's valid everywhere in the world, and I think is recognized everywhere as well, certainly to my knowledge. So that would be sort of advice number one. And number two, of course, would be we haven't got a kind of a job sort of a job website or job sharing or anything like that. We don't do that as an organization. Maybe it's something we should do. I'm not saying we shouldn't, but if that is a wish from the membership, then we can certainly sort of take a look at it. I know CILT UK have done it and are still doing it to some extent in the UK. And I know others are doing the same thing. So it depends a bit on where you are. So let's see what we can do to perhaps help facilitate some of the key learnings from other areas around the world.
Thank you. Other COP members like to come in? Yeah, Sharon, go for it.
I think I was just going to sort of support what Jan said about taking qualification because they are internationally recognised, but also just network, join our social media, follow other colleagues in other countries, and you'll find out a lot about what's happening there. And like Jan said, we don't have a jobs board, mainly because jobs move very, very quickly and it's difficult to keep them up to date. But LinkedIn is a great place to look for jobs. And you might discover you know somebody as a first or a second line contact who might be able to give you some more information about the company you want to apply for. So yeah, just we're very digital, so please just use the social media and look for opportunities where colleagues might be able to support you.
Thank you, Sharon. Anybody else?
I think Ian's got his hand up.
Yeah,
Jenny, I've got my. I've spoken to 2 recruitment agents, and I have no commercial interest in either of them. I hasten to add, because my job is dealing with commercial people. So there are 2 recruitment agencies who specialise in transport. I won't name them because there are others. I will connect them with Sharon if there's a decision that there's an association that could be made with either or both of those recruitment agencies specific to the transport industry. Sharon can perhaps make a commercial decision there, but there are a number out there because I speak to them on they contact me. I'll connect them with Sharon direct.
Thank you, Ian. And yeah, certainly, because I've been around the UK transport sector for 30 plus years, I have some really good recruitment agency contacts. And for people who have the right to work and live in the UK, I'm always happy to make introductions. I've already put something along that line in the chat. Right. So, Masaosu, do you feel that these answers were helpful to you?
Yes, indeed, I feel that the answers are okay with me. What is important is, I think, as you have all discussed to say, we need to network. I think networking is what is important, and where I've got job opportunities, it's better maybe we come up with a strategy where how we are going to share them across the globe, so that certain countries we know that there are very few opportunities for our professionals to find jobs, but in other countries, opportunities might be there. So to those that can be linked, it's better that they are flooded so that people might find an opportunity to join. Thank you very much for your responses.
Thank you very much for your question, Masaosu, and I'm glad we were able to be of help. So moving on, the next question is from Augustine Zanja. Let me see. Oh, there we are. Right, Augustine. I am allowing you to talk. You should be able to do so and ask your question.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity to ask my question. My question relates to, are there any future plans for CILT International to directly sponsor marketing and promotional activities related to the CILT Africa Forum events? This is informed by the fact that CILT International derives more mileage or brand visibility from such events. And also it helps the local organizing nation to also reduce the hosting costs. And also, it also in the long term helps CILT gain new members and also prospective students to come on board. That's my question. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Augustine. My own thoughts, though thoughts from the others will of course be invited, are that it's not policy for CILT International Centre to sponsor any events organised in the branches and territories around the world, and I think it's a sound policy because it would be extremely complex, and the decision making as to what would you sponsor and to the tune of how much, that would be very hard to resolve. Plus the fact that the contributions of different areas of CILT International, I mean geographic regions, areas, the contributions vary widely, and you could end up in a situation where an area that maybe contributes very little financially into the centre is receiving a massive amount of sponsorship in return, which wouldn't really be equitable. I personally am very, very relaxed about commercial sponsorship. I think if any CILT branded event is able to secure commercial sponsorship, of course, from reputable organizations that we don't mind being seen to doing business with, I would be very relaxed about that happening. And I would be also relaxed about the centre spending some resource in, for instance, creating a toolkit or something like that in order to help branches and territories secure that type of sponsorship, because it's not, if you've never done it before, it's not one of these things that you just know how to do. You do need to learn how to do it. But those are my thoughts on sponsorship and financing. What does the rest of the panel think? Sharon?
Yeah, I was going to say we don't abandon the organisers of the Africa Forum or the International Convention. We do work with them really, really closely, particularly to make sure that we don't want anyone to make a loss from holding an event. So we do a lot of support and work behind the scenes, and we do encourage the sponsorship. I say it's something we're very aware of, and we don't want any branch to be put off from holding one of these events because they think they may have to pay a lot of money for it. So I think if anyone's thinking about either holding the Africa Forum or be interested in International Convention, have a chat with us first and we can explain how it all works. We've got people who've been through it a few times, so we're really happy to sort of support and hold your hand. But as Jenny says, we can't take one member's money and use it to support, you know, necessarily another part of the organisation, but we will do everything in our power to make sure nobody has to lose money over holding an event.
Thank you, Sharon. Do other people have a contribution to make? Did I not outrage you when I mentioned the possibility of commercial sponsorship? No one was outraged. There we are. There's something to explore. Augustine, do you feel that we have answered your question?
Thank you. I think you've answered me. I think since there is a point that has been raised that it will set a precedence where some territories or some branches which are contributing a limited amounts of money to the international office might end up benefiting at the expense of, you know, others. So I think I understood. We will look at that, but of course, I just believe maybe not monetary sponsorship, but material and technical sponsorship should suffice, so that at least, you know, it helps to allow the Western countries, you know, to minimize costs maybe, and also maybe just to also allow other branches to also, you know, when one country is hosting, so that more delegates can partake. It becomes policy maybe for branches to publicize on their website, so that, you know, attendance can become higher. That's my contribution. But on the whole, thank you for the answers. I think I'm satisfied. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much for your question, Augustine. Sharon, I understand that you have to leave us because you need to drive somewhere.
No, it's Ian, not Sharon.
Oh, sorry, the other Sharon. Okay. So the other Sharon, also known as Ian. I understand you have to go off and drive somewhere. So please drive safe, and thank you very much for your contribution. Okay. So next question is from Chupi Raphael. Let me see if I can unmute you. Chupi, you should be able to speak to us. No? Well, while you wrestle with your microphone, I'll raise your question, which was, what are the possibilities of intervening during the next webinar with the presentation of a paper? So I think that fits very nicely with something I said at the start, which is that if topics come up during this webinar, which would make a good webinar in its own right in the future, then that's something that we would certainly take on board and think about. So this webinar we're in now is absolutely not about presenting learned papers. It's about having an informal chat with the members of the Council of Trustees. But I see no reason, if there's a demand and if we have the resources, I say that out of deference to Sharon before she starts throwing virtual things at me, if we have the resources in the Secretariat, that there could be webinar, CILT International Centre webinars. I would envisage that they would be topical, where speakers from all the different areas where we are active are invited to present on a particular topic of interest. I don't see any reason why we wouldn't do that, apart from the reason of resource. How do you feel, Sharon?
I think it's a great idea, and it's something I've thought about, and particularly looking at themes, and also possibly looking forward when we might want forums that maybe discuss technical issues and technical themes together. So I think it's a great idea.
Yeah. Thank you. Especially, I mean, Vicky made the point, and I think at least one of our questioners have made the point as well, that we are now, we've always been an international institute, but with the IT revolution of the last 20 years, now we can actually work in real time as an international institute, as long as some of us are happy to get up in the middle of the night to do so. But as long as we share the burden of the time zones, absolutely no reason why we shouldn't. Do any of the rest? Ruth, you're in my sights here. Ruth, you must have some opinions on this.
So there's discussions that have sort of taken place. Certainly, one thing that springs to mind is that Kaya, our International Marketing and Communications Manager, set up some thought leadership webinars and sort of did an open invitation for people to present on various different topics. We had an excellent session on ESG previously. I know we've got some another session coming up on data analytics, I believe, in supply chain. So there may be an opportunity there going forward. She's also thinking about, as we've mentioned previously, some sort of publication where perhaps this could be a good forum too. So certainly, if you drop me a line, and I know my email's been shared in the chat, with what your paper actually discusses or what you would like to present in some format, we can certainly discuss that and get back to you with some options as to how we could hear from you. But I think it's an excellent idea. We very much welcome this sort of thing. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ruth. So, Shupi Raphael, you look to me as if you can speak now. Are you happy with the answers we have given?
Hello, are you getting me?
We can hear you. Hello.
Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. Yes, Shupi Raphael calling from Cameroon. Yeah, I'm intervening here. I propose that in the upcoming webinar, how somebody can present a paper. Fine, it is okay by me. But I think that CILT International is supposed to propose topics, the line of the webinar where any participant can actually present something. Then the panel has to review what you have to prepare, you have to present before the date of the presentation. That's my 1 cent contribution. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And yes, absolutely. We would, in order to make sure that we maximize the results from the resource we give this, we would need to do some very careful consultation and discussion about what topics are genuinely of interest to everybody in our institute, to all the participants. But I think at any given time, there'd be quite a few of those topics, and we could have some really nice webinars. So thank you very much for your contribution. So moving on, excuse me. Next up is Kayode Ajayoba. I feel that we have answered this question, at least in part, but I will unmute you and you can tell us if you still need further clarification. So I'm allowing you to talk, Kayode. Hopefully you will be able to do so.
Yeah, good day, everybody. I hope you can hear me.
We can hear you.
All right. So sorry, I think I may have missed, if you have answered that question before, I may have missed that, probably due to network glitch or something. But my 2 questions, as you can see, one, I think it's been discussed extensively from other people's questions in the past, and that's regarding possibility of future award of degrees, or maybe establishment of degree awarding institutions or research institutes, because of course that in this day and era, a lot of employers, they look out for more established and more how do I put it, institutionalized certifications, for people they are employing. You may want to revisit that, but then I think it's been discussed with by a lot of experts in the previous discussions. But the second part of the question is the current collaboration or relationship of CILT with such bodies as IMO, ICAO, and all the likes, ITU, and all that, because like one of our colleagues, initially mentioned that there are specific certifications for, specific trades, which all come together to form this, institute, chartered institute that, we all belong to. And of course, I'm a mariner, for example. I cannot take this certification from CILT to a shipping company, for example, that I'm no more sailing. I've been, I'm retired for now. But then, for the new generation that we are trying to encourage and to bring up, we need to see beyond our current, certification process, to be able to ensure that they fit into each of these trades. And we can do that by collaborating with such institutes that I've mentioned, and many more that are specific to those trades. So that's a bit of my worry, actually. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kayode. Regarding the awarding of degrees, Ruth did answer that in quite some detail earlier during this webinar. I'm sorry if your technical difficulties meant you didn't hear it, but it really was in detail. And so I think rather than ask her to do a short version now, which won't be as useful to you, there will be a recording of this webinar published, and maybe you could refer back to what she has to say on that. I think you would find it really interesting. But moving on to the second part of your question that we haven't discussed, levels of collaboration between CILT International and other organizations. You mentioned here the IMO, the ICAO, and the ITU. I'm afraid out of those three, I only know what the last one is, the ITU, but I'm sure other panelists are better informed. To start off, I personally, it's something, yeah, there certainly is collaboration between CILT International and various other global organizations in the same field as us. We are less inclined to collaborate closely with organizations which are national or regional, and I'm sure that it's easy to understand the reason for that. That's a lot of resource for something that only benefits a section of our membership rather than all members. But I personally feel that this is something which we should be doing more of in the future. My own background, which I didn't mention at the start specifically, before I retired, I spent the last 25 years working for a membership association. So I've run something like a CILT International, just in a different sector. And I certainly felt, particularly towards the end as communication became much, much easier, that membership associations of our type and chartered bodies and learned institutes of our type, we can achieve a lot more if we collaborate. And it's also really important not to duplicate effort. I feel it's really important not to be precious. If there's another organization out there which does something and they do it really well, and we haven't even started doing it, then why would we spend resource on it when we could far more cost effectively build up a good relationship with them and share their expertise? But we must, of course, be equally generous ourselves. We have many areas where we are extremely strong. And when other organizations approach us in order to ask for our advice and our information, the default answer should always be yes. Of course, sometimes it can't be, but we should always approach these things with a positive attitude at the start. That's my feeling. Other panelists, anything to add about the degrees, and how do you feel about us collaborating with our peers, and which peers should that be, and how, and what type of collaboration would you like to see? I'm scrolling through you. I'm not seeing anyone. Ah, Vicky's got her hand up. Thank you, Vicky. Please.
Thank you, Jenny. I think it's a very good question. In fact, it may be something for the trustees or court members to think about. Collaborating with global international regulatory organizations like IMO for maritime or IATA for aviation may be, a good collaboration and use CILT as a training platform for their latest certifications because they do hold the highest standard of the international requirements for maritime and aviations. And I think somewhere in the other question, someone is asking about whether our certificates has already been recognized by the UN, the United Nations. I don't know which part of UN would recognize that, but there's certainly is a structure that we can explore so that we can add more values to CILT. And I don't know whether all the trustees will agree with this point of view, but it will certainly brings value to the CILT memberships.
Thank you, Vicky. Other COP members?
Yeah, I agree with Vicky. Absolutely.
Great, thank you. Anybody else?
Here.
Why we're all in violent agreement. Order. So do you feel that your questions have been answered? Well, I know I slightly sidestepped it by requesting you to listen to the recording for half of your question, but did you feel that we answered the other half of your question correctly?
Yeah, I mean, positively, especially as it has received support of some of our trustees. I believe this is something to work on. I mean, the good thing is that most of the people from some of these organizations I just mentioned, they are already part of this institute. So I think it's just for us to, I mean, like we have agreed that it's something to work on. We can invite members, people that are from these different professional bodies that belongs to these organizations to, find a way forward, how we can collaborate, better, such that, these new generations, people that they were talking of employment, they were talking of this, and these bodies we are talking about are the people that are basically in charge of safety standards of all these, professions. So it's very key, because otherwise, getting a job this time around, if you are not really professionally biased, it's a difficult one. Thank you for the support.
No, thank you very much, Coyote, for your comments and for your question. Now we have 11 minutes to go, and we have 2 more questions so far. So I'm hoping to do both these questions. That would make me feel very proud of myself as chair. But I would ask the 2 people with the questions, can you please, when I unmute you to ask your questions, can you please keep it brief? And COP members, when you answer, can you also please keep it brief? And we will get these 2 done and have time for some thank yous at the end. So next up is Finbar Cleary. I beg your pardon. I should have got that one right. Allowed to talk. So Finbar, can you please ask your question and keep it brief? Thank you.
Thanks, Jenny. Good afternoon. Yes, still good morning in Ireland to all. Just a question. All officers in various committees within have a tenure in CILT have a tenure of 3 years. And is it the same for the trustees? Have the trustees set limits on tenures of individual trustees? Or do these tenures meet the governance guidance of the Charity Commission?
Thank you very much, Finbar, and thank you for keeping that brief. So I will start off, and but on this topic, Jan has far greater expertise than me, so I'll just say a few things, and then they can tell me where I'm wrong. But I like to have a go. We are certainly aware that historically, there have been some rather strange tenures. So when I say historically, I mean going right back a decade or two. There have been some rather lengthy tenures in the past, but we have become aware of that. The COT was already aware of it when I joined it 18 months ago now. And we've been through it. Everybody who is there now is, as you say, on a limit of 3 years. There is a document, I won't bore everyone with the details too much, but as well as our bylaws, which are really very high level and they're a legally binding document. We also have something called the roles and responsibilities, which is not a legally binding document, but which we do live by and which we're in the process of revising and updating. And we're also, of course, there are documents that govern next generation and WILAT. And we are really trying to implement this business of 3 years right across the piece. So myself being quite a recent example, I have been appointed honorary secretary and my term is 3 years. And I know that, and it's all very clear and written down. And yes, this is within the governance guidance of the Charity Commission. Again, this is a great chance for me to mention this because it's important. While we are an international institute, we are registered as a charity in England and Wales. That is our legal standing. And that means that the Charity Commission for England and Wales is the one that we must abide by. So, Jan, I invite you to tell me what I'd got wrong in that description.
No, not a whole lot. I mean, I would obviously refer to the bylaws, which Finbar, I'm sure you know inside out. Tenure is 3 years for trustees with a possibility to extend 1+1. So a further 2 years. That's for sort of trustees. Honorary members of the court, their tenure is 3 years with an option to extend for a further 3. So, and actually it could be a further 3 beyond that. There's nothing in our bylaws or roles and responsibilities document that currently says that it cannot be multiple extensions, as we've seen in the past. The president-elect is for 2 years. The president is for 2 years. So no, it's not all 3 years. I believe Villa and NextGen are 3 years, again with a possibility to extend. So we are sort of largely following those guidelines, and we're certainly complying with charity law.
Thank you very much, Jan. Paul, you wanted to come in, please, briefly.
Yeah. No, I think it's a good question. Just a couple of comments, and I probably share the due diligence I did before I kind of joined. But the requirement from the Charities Commission, you're looking for the right blend of skills and knowledge and experience, making sure that they're in place. And what you're trying to do is make sure we don't have a power imbalance or people who have just been there for a year. So, for example, the charity I came from, which was a special needs charity in England and Wales, had a trustee there who'd been there for 20+ years, and they were one of the original ones. But we, as a COT equivalent, if you like, we looked at the situation each couple of years, and that particular charity decided that because of the sector knowledge, the networking, and the breadth of skills and institutional memory, that we decided to extend that person's, if you like, tenure. That still left another 7 people on the board. So nobody was able to dominate the board, which is one of the key things, Finbar, that the Charity Commission is looking for. It's looking for the outcome rather than the process, if you know what I mean. So if you just go down our board, we have 3 trustees with less than 1 year, 2 with less than 2, 1 with less than 3, and 1 greater than 9. So, and as we heard at the start, again, good sector coverage across logistics and transport, good geographical experience, good organisational leadership at a strategic level across multiple functions, and we've also retained institutional memory. The other thing I think to mention is engaging 2 advisors onto the COT widens that pool of advice. And so from an overall point of view, if you were to ask me over, I'll go with a Scotch whisky the next time, Finbar, I think I'd be pretty happy with the soundness of how we're arriving at at the decisions about the breadth of skills and the experience that we've got, and the ability to freshen it as we go forward. That was all I wanted to say, Jenny. Thanks.
Lovely. Thank you, Paul. I'm really going to try and squeeze in one more, which is Dr. Charles Matsate. So allowed to talk. Dr. Charles, please, are you able to speak to us? Dr. Charles, I can see that you should be able to speak. Okay, now in the interest of time, the question from Dr. Charles Matsatse is kind of confirm if CILT qualifications are registered in the United Nations Skills Database, as they are important in global development. Now, Vicky already alluded to that, saying she wasn't sure which part of the UN would be registering this. But Ruth, are you very quickly able to shed any light on this?
Yeah, I could, well, probably a bit more darkness rather than light. I must admit, I wasn't aware of this skills database. So Charles, we already know each other. I will be picking your brain. As far as I'm aware, not currently. However, with obviously the overhaul of our education and all of the updates that are coming, if we can align that with the requirements of something like the United Nations Skills Database and feed that into our end goals, that's absolutely something I would be keen to explore. So Charles, keep an eye on your inbox. I may well be scheduling a call with you. So yes, thank you.
Great. Thank you very much, Ruth. So that's it. We're just about at the end. There are a few things left, which I've not been able to cover, but we'll get back to that by other means. And actually, I think one great outcome of today is that we've got some really good ideas from the attendees, things to think about. One of the things I haven't got time to talk about is mentorship. That's a great suggestion. We had the suggestion just now about registering our qualifications with the UN. That could be a good one. And lastly, down here from Kim Hassel, the Logistics Innovation Award. Should we be doing more with awards? So I hope that all of you who attended, that you found the conversation interesting and useful to you. And we certainly have found it really useful in that we've heard from you and you've given us some really good ideas to think about. So with that, I invite you to look out for the invitation to the webinar Sharon's organising, which is Meet the Secretariat. So that's a different set of people, but also very important and important to you, who would love to have a chat with you. And I thank you very much for taking 2 hours this morning to sit here and talk with us. It's been lovely to have you with us. And lastly, I just want to, well, no, sorry, not lastly, very important. No one ever remembers the people who actually make things happen. This has only happened thanks to Kaya Newell in the Secretariat, who set up the Zoom, organised the registrations, got it all working. Without her, we wouldn't be here at all. She's off doing other things, but thank you, Kaya. Where would we be without you? Rhetorical, we'd be nowhere. So thank you also to my excellent panel. And we will do this again in January. It's going to be a 4-monthly event. We've committed to that in the interest of openness and transparency. So if you tune in with us again next January, you might meet some of the same people, but you'll also meet some of the few that weren't able to be here today. So I thank you all. I quote our sort of hashtag, which is stronger together. We certainly are. We demonstrated that this morning. And I wish you a very good remainder of the day, that's longer for some of you than for others. But whatever is left of the rest of your day, have a good one. Thank you.
Thank you. Goodbye.